What's up, everybody? Welcome in to the Fantasy Football Game Show, brought to you by Front Yard Fantasy here on Better Sports Network. I'm your host, Simon, joined as always by my wildly handsome co-hosts, John Lou Garofalo and Joey Wright. How's it going, boys?
What up?
Pretty good.
Well, guys, also joining us today, going to take that pretty good and make it best. We've got our great friend and a legend of the industry, Jim Coventry, here with us.
Go.
For those of you that do not know Jim, you can find him on Twitter at Jim Coventry NFL, and you should find him on Twitter at Jim Coventry NFL. You can see his work over at RotoWire, and he's a host on Sirius XM covering the NFL. Jim, as always, we are so happy to play some games with you and have you on today, my friend.
Oh, good. Great to see everybody. We're going to have a whole lot of fun. Let's get at it.
Jim, welcome back to the Fantasy Football Game Show. We got some people in the chat ready for today's show. Dustin over here said, I'll be driving to Kansas City during the show, but wanted to say hashtag Team Joey for the win. Safe travels, Dustin. Also, we got Craig in the chat. What's up, Craig? Says, if Metallica went to the Jim Henson School of Arts and Media, would they graduate with a Master of Puppets?
Oh, okay. All right, Craig. Very good.
Ladarius in here. What's up, Ladarius?
What up, Ladarius? Welcome in.
Greg, welcome in, my friend. We got Dave in the chat. Shout out Dave from the Toronto area. And our happy Taco Tuesday, bro. Chachos right on from our friend Victor.
What up, Victor?
Ooh, I'm getting some tacos today. I'm going to that taco truck that I took you to, JL, over there on North Mary's. After I picked you up from the airport.
Oh, yeah.
We sat outside and we had a beer and we ate some tacos from a taco truck. I think you had a quesadilla, but those are some of my favorite tacos in the city.
That sounds lovely.
It was delicious. It was and delightful as well.
Delicious and delightful.
Yeah.
Come to San Antonio. Mr. Scavers said, good afternoon, FYF fam. What's up? Our favorite
Scavers.
We got Dame in the chat with the hello. What's up, Dame?
What up, Dame?
And Jason, look at this group of handsome gentlemen.
Where?
And Craig sucking up to Jay. I don't know what he's trying to get, but he said, not as handsome as when you were there, Jay.
Ooh,
We've always looked at our show as a show of honesty. I don't see why we need to start lying now.
Jay, if you can take anything from this, it's that your friends will be honest to you. And Craig, either he's blind or not your friend, one of the two. But today, guys, we brought Jim on here to play a game that we are calling Fantasy Football Jeopardy. If you've ever watched the TV show Jeopardy, you're going to be pretty familiar with how this is going to work, but I'll explain the twists and turns that we've incorporated into it. Before we do that, though, a couple reminders. First and foremost, I've mentioned it once. I'm going to mention it now, and I'm going to mention it again. Make sure you follow our guest, Jim, on Twitter. He's on Twitter at Jim Coventry NFL. When I say he's a legend of this space, I mean it.
True legend.
Dude's been around, winning it all
since the start
of this space, and he's still doing it. Shifted his focus a little more to the DFS side because he did everything that could be done on the season long side.
By the time he was 12 years old, very accomplished at a young age.
When dinosaurs roamed the earth. Yep.
He won his first fantasy league in the womb.
Yeah.
It was in the womb that he won that first one.
Sure, man.
You check our sources.
Well, guys, after you do that, if you're watching this show and you're on our YouTube channel at Front Yard Fantasy, go ahead and hit that sub button and hit that bell too. Make sure you don't miss any of our shows at our new old time here at 3 p.m. Eastern time. Fantasy Football Game Show every day, Monday through Friday. And like we mentioned a couple times, it is draft week here on Better Sports Network, and BSN has got you hooked up every day from here until draft day. You can listen for rookie profiles, rankings, team needs, mock drafts, and more. So make sure you join us for live coverage of the draft Thursday and Friday here on bettersports.com, streaming at Better Network. You guys ready to get into our game of Jeopardy?
Oh, yeah.
I'm ready to see these categories.
Let's do this. I'm going to pull this up, give you guys a peek at the categories while I explain the rules, and then we will go ahead and get started. The game today is Fantasy Football Jeopardy, and if you've ever seen the TV show Jeopardy, you're way ahead of the game. You can probably tune out for most of these rules. I've got a board of questions here. On your turn, you're going to tell me which category and which value you would like to answer a question for. Get that right, you're going to add that amount of points to your score. Get it wrong, we subtract nothing. Most of these questions are about the NFL or fantasy, so keep that in mind. That's where the fantasy football and Fantasy Football Jeopardy comes from. Now, if you get your question right, there is one other small twist in this game. You're going to get to pick the category for the person that goes after you. So, Jim, you're up first. You're going to have free reign of this board. If you get your first question right, you'll get to tell JL what category he has to then select the value from. There's some game theory here. You can base it based on the category you think they're bad at, the point values left, or just assign it willy-nilly. Whatever you feel like doing. We will go like this in order until we run out of questions or run out of time, at which point we will go into our final Jeopardy. The only question in this game where you can lose money. You're going to write down a wager after I tell you the category. Get the question right, you're going to add that money to your score. Get it wrong, you're subtracting it. Whoever has the most after that question is our Fantasy Jeopardy champion, and we will fax you some nice, crisp Kohl's cash.
Let's go. I don't feel like Jim's gonna wreck us. Like I just have this really bad feeling.
Is it not so much? Not so much. You're
is it
being
the
kind.
absurd wealth of knowledge that he has?
Is it
that he's shown over and over
knowledge.
and over again?
Every single time he's come on? No, couldn't be that.
No, probably not that. Also, we've got Jay in here said, "Hey Simon, I hope you didn't need me to get a final Jeopardy ready for you." I did, but I persevered without you, Jay. I got it done anyways. Well, guys, your categories for today are Aaron Rodgers, life coach. So Aaron Rodgers manifested this move to the Jets with his time in a darkness retreat. And he's got some more techniques for kind of getting your life in order. Well, I'm going to show you a picture of Aaron Rodgers doing something. You tell me what new technique he's using to help get his life straight.
Oh boy.
We've got needy teams. I took the team needs, the top 3 team needs for NFL teams from the NFL website. I'm going to give you the team and 2 of the 3 needs, and you have to tell me what the 3rd team need that is missing from that list is. We've got grab bag. This could be anything, literally anything. We've got odd one out, which is the category. Well, I will give you a category, something like 10 plus receiving touchdowns in 2022. I'll give you a list of names. Only one of the names is not going to fit the category provided. Now, this is a special edition of Odd One Out. It's going to be all NFL draft related in honor of the draft this week. So this is an all NFL draft Odd One Out. And then our last category in honor of our friend Jim being here, we've got Jimothy. This is going to be all about guys named James, Jim, Jimmy, John, anything that you can get from James. I'll show you a picture of a guy. You tell me who it is. Sound good?
Sound good.
Okay. Well, Jim, you're up first. Those are your 5 categories. Which category and point value would you like to start this game off with?
Well, how do I not go at James, Jim, Jimothy, which actually Brian Burns, who was producer at SiriusXM, he called me. That's why I love that. But let's just do the whole enchilada. 500, James, Jim, Jimothy.
James, Jim, Jimothy, 5
Let's do it.
hundo. Here's what we got. I need to know who this is.
Ooh.
Oh.
Not so good. Well, since I don't know who it is, and I know the answer's wrong, I'm just going to say Jimmy Ward and be wrong.
Okay. Final answer?
James Robinson?
Yeah, I don't know who it is.
This is James Prochet, Baltimore
would not have
Raven.
known that.
This was when he was with the Ravens.
The
and that
third.
was his brother's jersey at Coastal Carolina while his brother played at Coastal. So this is James Prochet. Definitely tricky, but he is wearing his brother's jersey at Coastal Carolina.
I thought
He's
it
a
was
500.
James Robinson.
The
That was gonna
colors
be my
definitely with the Coastal Carolina colors, it definitely
I thought
leads you
Jaguars.
towards James Robinson.
Yeah.
Very similar on that one.
Tricky,
Well, that was a
tricky.
tough question one, Jim, a tough James, but it was 500. JL, you got free reign on this board. Where do you want to go?
And the chat is not scared off by that one, Jim. They're giving you 69% of the vote.
Oh my gosh.
Who they
funny.
think is gonna win today? My next category, let's go with James, Jim, Jimothy for 400.
James, Jim, Jimothy for 400. Before we get into that, though, no one in the chat getting that one right. Scampers guessing Bradbury and then also saying spicy categories today.
Very spicy.
We got some spice in there. James, Jim, Jimothy for 400. Who is this, JL?
Oh my God, JL.
Ah! He's too young.
James.
Final answer?
Yes.
It was said in the chat
Wouldn't have
earlier
gotten it.
today. This
that's
is
funny.
Jim Henson of the Muppets. I thought it
Oh,
was
I thought
crazy
he-
that
I thought
Craig
he-
came in the chat and said it.
I thought Craig just picked like a local art school.
Jim Henson has never been mentioned. Like, we've mentioned the Muppets. I don't know if we've ever said that name. Then Craig comes in the chat, puts it in there on the day that I happen to have a Jim Henson question in the puzzle.
I could name Kermit. I don't know who the other fella is there though.
Ernie?
That's Ernie.
There you go.
Rubber ducky, you're the one.
You both went to the same.
That was so
Oh
cute.
my God.
That
That was
was.
pretty
I was
cute,
in
guy.
kindergarten watching it live. That's how old I am. So yeah.
You know,
Why
that
do-
song's sneaky, kind of a little dirty though, because he's like, every day when I make my way to the tubby, I find a little fella who's cute and yellow and chubby. I think we all know what you're talking about, Ernie.
Bert.
Yeah. Bert.
That too. Yeah, that too.
All right, well, Joey, free reign of the board, my friend. You can go anywhere
Don't go
you
James
want.
Jim Jimothy.
I'm going to James Jimothy for 300.
Also, Craig in here said JL clearly does not know the way to Sesame Street.
Nope.
Not a single way there. James Jim Jimothy for 300. Who is this?
That's James Earl Jones.
Final answer?
Yes.
That is, in fact, James Earl Jones, the voice of Darth Vader. That's going to add 300.
The
your
guy
bank,
in the
Joey.
suit, his also name is James.
Why
just
did I
made that
never
up. I
know
don't
that
know
he
if
was
that's true.
he was the voice of Darth Vader? I've never once had that thought. Is who voices that? Who voices
You
Darth?
didn't know that?
No,
JL.
no
we
idea.
need to have a retreat, you and I, one weekend. And just,
What
I'll
are
just
we
give you
gonna do?
random pop culture.
He's
knowledge.
just going to tell you James Earl Jones is the voice of Darth Vader.
Oh, cool. Glad we came to Atlantic City for this.
He's also the voice of Miss Piggy.
I like the idea that retreat's in Atlantic City. That's where you guys are meeting up to discuss who voices Darth Vader.
It's a romantic weekend away with Joey and I.
Also, Ladarius getting this one. Nice job. And Scamper
Nice.
said Luke's father's voice. Spoilers.
Whoa, big spoiler.
Just kidding. Well, Joey, that's going to get 300 points your way. And you get to pick Jim's next category. Where do you want to send Jim?
I'm going to send Jim to needy teams.
Okay.
Jim, what point value would you like?
200.
200. Before we do that, we got Andrea in the chat. What's up, Andrea? Welcome
Hey,
in,
Andrea.
my friend.
Welcome in.
Timothy down here saying JL simply exists in his own space
True.
Much like you, my brother.
where you don't need to get, as does Tim.
See, it takes one to know one.
Sometimes those spaces smush.
Tim, no,
Okay.
go.
You said needy teams for 200, Jim.
Correct.
Here we go. According to NFL.com, fill in the missing top 3 team need for the following team, the Chicago Bears. Defensive line is first. Second is the question mark. And then they've got cornerback at 3. Is number 2 quarterback, offensive line, or running back?
Well, even without the choices, I would have just said offensive line. So I'm going to go with that as my final answer.
And that is the correct answer.
Good job.
Offensive line is identified as one of the bigger needs for the Chicago Bears going into this year. And after watching Justin Fields run for his life last year, I agree. Jim, are you expecting an upgrade from Justin Fields this year? Is it dependent on them getting him some more steady pieces on the O-line?
You know, what is really interesting is the Bears were like a top 5 run blocking unit. They were outstanding run blocking. Pass blocking is interesting. They obviously were not good, but there are a lot of analysts that believe that quarterback sacks are a quarterback stat, that quarterbacks have a lot to do with the sacks they take. Now, the line is terrible pass blocking, so I'm not going to dismiss that, and they do need help, but Justin Fields and whatever scheme they're going to roll with this year, they're going to have to figure out how he can help be part of the solution. But I do think they add a tackle with the 9th pick in the draft. I do think that's the way they're going to go unless they get a crazy slide from Jalen Carter. But I do think they do want to add the left tackle last year, Braxton Jones. He really outperformed what they thought they'd get, and they were excited. But I think they want another tackle here. So, yes, that's probably the way they go.
I'm with you. That's interesting. The idea that we always talk about these quarterbacks that get sacked a lot, needing an upgrade. And I'm sure they're not independent. Offensive line clearly plays a role in how often he's scrambling around out there, but the decision making, the idea to scramble. So just some additional comfort could help with that
Yes.
in that system. Some more consistency in coaching, some more consistency in scheme. We could see a little bit more. John Luke, how are you feeling about the Chicago Bears team in general going into next season? I feel like we saw some promise, but a lot of holes still.
Yeah, I feel very good about the Chicago Bears team. It feels like I mentioned it earlier this offseason. It feels like they are the Eagles of this offseason. They're making the moves. They're just amassing that leverage, and we're going to see that rubber band effect happen to them, just like we saw for the Eagles. Less so the Eagles. The Eagles didn't really like get down bad like the Bears did, but I expect the Bears to make a Lions like hop up this next year.
Joey, you were nodding along there. You agree? You like the moves the Bears have made?
Yeah, I love JL's comparison to the Eagles. I think that's a really good comparison. And I like the team name Rubber Band Effect. I think that's a good name for a team name.
The rubber band effect.
But yeah, I'm really on board with the Bears. They're making the right moves right now. They went out and got DJ Moore. Address that offensive line. I'm not buying the Bijan to Chicago rumors because Bijan's going everywhere at this point, I think.
He's going to be so busy.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
And tired. He's got to play with all those teams. The chat was all over this one. Offensive line from Ladarius. Craig getting OL as well. And Scampers with the old answer in the chat. Scampers said, JL, you're a silly goose. And Dave agreeing. The silliest of geese.
Nice.
That's a goose. Good goose sound.
Thank you.
All right. Well, let's move on to our next question. Jim, that gets you on the board, $200. And you get to pick John Luke's next category. Where do you want to send him?
You know, John, look, there's a comment a few moments ago, and I can't even remember what it was, but it led me toward Aaron Rodgers, life coach. I think we're going to go that route.
Yeah. Nice. I'm excited to see what Simon came up with on this one. I'll go 300.
Yes. 300. What is Aaron Rodgers doing here?
Is that a submersion tank?
Final answer?
Yeah.
I will accept that is the sensory deprivation tank or a float tank, and it's going to help him get his life right. So Aaron Rodgers, $300 for JL on that front.
Nice job.
Nice job, JL. And you get to pick Joey's next category. Where do you want to send him?
Ooh, let's send can I see the categories again?
Yes, you can.
Let's send Joey to grab bag.
Ooh-wee. Ooh-wee.
300.
300. Right before we do that, Scott Fish wanted to add something about the Bears. Said he truly feels the Bears are a top 4 NFC North team.
Great insight, Scott.
I don't know. That's a bit of a stretch right there. Also, Jay got this one right with float tank. Nice job, Jay.
Nice.
Joey, you said grab bag for 300?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here we go. The story for the 1982 movie Blade Runner is adapted from which of the following books? The Blade Runner, Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, or A Rose for Armageddon?
Do androids dream of electric sheep?
Who wrote it?
That is true.
Oh, Phil. Oh, God.
His middle name is a letter, and his last name is an insult.
Bill F. Tompkins.
Philip K.
What is it again?
Philip K. Dick.
That's right, Philip K. Dick. Yeah.
Fun fact about Philip K. Dick that my English teacher once told me is that the FBI actually raided his office once because his sci-fi writing was so close to some sort of classified information. So they raided all of his papers and stuff.
That's freaking awesome. I didn't know this one until recently. I assumed it would have been from The Blade Runner, but it turns out they just stole the name from that book and then the story from a different book. Adapted the story, but just took the name from a different book entirely that had nothing to do with it altogether.
I would say top 20 film for me. Like really, really high on the Joey rankings.
Now, are you one of the purists, Joey? That's like, what's a director's final cut only for Blade Runner?
I have 4 cuts of Blade Runner because they came in the pack.
Yeah,
I've watched all 4, and I'm gonna be honest. Like, I'm not gonna be pretentious. I can't really tell the difference. I mean, there's cuts here and there, but I don't prefer one or the other.
The way my friend put it in high school was that a lot of people don't like the version that was actually released because they originally filmed it without the voiceover from Harrison Ford. And then they thought, no, they're not going to, the audience is not going to get this. And so they made him come back from another movie to then do the voiceover. And it's just didn't feel like it was authentic.
The only thing I don't like about the director's cut is it telegraphs the answer to the question of is Deckard a replicant or not. And I always like that there being a mystery to it and there not being an actual answer to the question. But in the director's cut, the question's answered. And that's nice. It's what I agree with. And I always thought that this part was true. I'm trying to be spoiler free. But I wish they just would have left it vague.
Jim, have you seen Blade Runner? Because I have never seen Blade Runner.
I have never seen it either.
Okay, I have also never seen it.
That is our homework. Joey is the only one who's seen
it. I've watched it. I've seen it. I never really liked it that much.
Got the little foil. Ooh, it's so shiny.
I've seen Tron. That's basically the same thing, right, Joey?
Go to hell. Go to hell. Oh my God. No, the coolest thing about Blade Runner is how spot on it was for today's technology. While it doesn't look like that, but screens where we're talking to people, it hit a lot of their nails in the head.
They predicted screens.
Yeah. No, that was just one example. We don't have flying cars yet, though.
We got Grim fan in here, upset again that there are no sandwiches on the Jeopardy board. It's going to be a glorious return the day sandwiches do come back, but that's not today.
Not today.
Joey,
I really
you
love that we just spent 5 minutes on Blade Runner. That's probably the top 5 moment for me on the show. This is great.
Well, following that top 5 moment, you got that question right. You get to pick Jim's next category. Where do you want to send him?
Jim. I am going to send you to Odd One Out.
Odd one out. Let's just do 200 again.
200 and odd one out. Mr. Irrelevant. So 2 of these players were Mr. Irrelevant. One of them was not. Jeff Driscoll, Chad Kelly, Brock Purdy. Which of these players was not Mr. Irrelevant?
Was not Mr. Irrelevant. I'm going to go with Jeff Driscoll.
Final answer?
Yeah, I'll go Jeff Driscoll.
That is correct. Chad, Swag, Kelly, and Brock Purdy, both the last pick of the NFL draft. Jeff Driscoll was an end of the 6th round pick with that big old donk. They wouldn't let him slide to the 7th.
Always forget about that.
I don't forget about it. I don't forget about it. Well, Jim, you got that one right, which means you're going to get to pick JL's next category. Before we do that, though, we did have not a question, but just a statement from Grim fan in here that I wanted to address.
Okay.
It said, Rodgers to Jets. Jets win this year's Super Bowl. All caps. Jim, the Jets do feel like they've been building a good team that just had Zach Wilson, Joe Flacco, Mike White. They were plugging in at quarterback. Do you have playoff aspirations for an Aaron Rodgers-led Jets team this year?
Certainly playoff aspirations. Man, if they were in the NFC, they might be close to favorites there, right? But in the AFC, good Lord, I mean, playoffs for sure. 7 teams make it. So, I mean, it's really not a great shakes making it. But, man, getting past the Patrick Mahomes and the Joe Burrows of the world, that's going to be a tough one to go further. But, yeah, playoff team, I think that defense, as good as they were, they didn't force takeaways last year.
Right.
Year 2 of Robert Saleh, I think that defense is going to be even better. And Breece Hall apparently is ready to roll. Now, the offensive line, there's a lot of questions. Not a lot of continuity there. Some talent issues. Dwayne Brown's 38. But, yeah, with that defense, even a little upgrade on offense, they're making the playoffs without an issue.
And Aaron Rodgers to Zach Wilson is probably qualifies as more than a little upgrade to that offense.
Yes.
I'm with you, Jim. I'm excited to see what this Jets team does this year. The chat was all over this one. Scamper said dumps. Jay said dump truck Driscoll. And Ladarius said Driscoll. So Ladarius gets bonus points for being the least horny one in the chat as well. Coop down here said Jim is my absolute favorite.
Love Coop.
Get in line, Coop. Get in line.
Welcome in, Coop. What's up, my friend? Well, Jim, you got that one right, and you sent JL to I can't remember what.
I didn't yet, but let's go. I like that odd one out category. Let's do that again.
Okay. All right, I'll take 400.
Odd one out for 400. Played entire career on the team that drafted them. Michael Strahan, Fran Tarkenton, or Larry Fitzgerald. Only one of these did not do that.
Fran Tarkenton.
Final answer?
Yeah.
While he did start and end his career with the same team, there was a stint in the middle elsewhere. Nice job, JL. A little bit tricky because of that. But John Luke, that's going to add $400 to your score, and you get to pick Joey's next category.
Send Joey to needy teams.
Needy teams. Before you select your value amount, Scamper's getting this one right. Ladarius getting this one right.
Nice.
And Coop saying Jim's his favorite, even if he thinks the Jets are good.
Now, I did say they'd be a top 7 team in the AFC, so we could debate whether that means good or not, but okay.
Slightly above average team in the AFC. Joey, which point value did you want in needy teams?
300, please.
300. The Kansas City Chiefs, their number one need, according to NFL.com, over offensive tackle and edge. Is it wide receiver, defensive back, or tight end?
I mean, as a fantasy analyst, if you ask me, I'm going to say wide receiver. Man, I'm still going to go with that. Wide receiver.
Final answer?
Yeah.
Wide receiver is correct after the departure of a couple more of their weapons there. And a Mod Podge of wide receivers last year. It does look like they're set to address the wide receiver position in one way or another.
Is it different from a hodgepodge, or is it the same?
Mod Podge is what my friend's grandma invented to do collages with.
Mod Podge.
They had a huge Mod Podge like 50th anniversary party at my high school for my friend's grandmother who like invented the craft supply Mod Podge. and they had this huge party. We all got little Mod Podge containers.
Yeah, no big deal. I'm just the inventor of the Mod Podge.
Shout out Mod Podge. But Joey, if a rookie wide receiver lands here, like let's say assume early draft capital, first or second round, does that move them up? Like, is this a positive landing spot for you, or does what we saw last year with the ball kind of spread around maybe make you less excited for a wide receiver to land here in Kansas City?
So there's only 2 wide receivers right now that I'm drafting from the Chiefs, and it's kind of at the end of drafts, and that's Justin Ross. Remember him? Like my very last pick. And then
I remember.
And then Kadarius Toney. I think there could actually be something there. But with Patrick Mahomes working out with Zay Flowers last week, I would be really excited for Zay Flowers if he ended up in Kansas City. That's like the one name that like really, because he's actually putting the work in. He fits this offense really well. I wouldn't mind seeing that at all. So Jim, I think it's a good landing spot. Doesn't hurt to play the best quarterback in the league.
Jim, are you excited for this as a landing spot for these incoming rookie wide receivers?
So it depends. And when I broke this team down, they don't need another middle of the field option. They need somebody that can stretch the field. And it's not the Marquez Valdes Scantling one-trick pony stretch the field.
Right.
They need a versatile X who can get downfield. Now, I doubt Quentin Johnson falls to where they're at, and they probably aren't trading up. Not that he's a burner, but he's an X that can get downfield. So I think in the third round, A.T. Perry is a guy that they can make a move for. Again, they have to have a guy who can win press man, opposite side of the tight end, which is the X spot, that Mahomes needs that. They don't need any more of these guys crossing in the middle. They have all of that they need. So they have, and they know this. They completely know this. Sky Moore, the beat reporters from Kansas City last year, they thought when they saw him in camp, they thought this was a guy who's going to take him a year to learn the system. Andy Reid's offense is not overly simple.
Yeah.
And so it's possible Sky Moore still is a thing for them. And Zay Flowers, they would have to see him as more than a slot, which he may be. But I think the primary top guys, other than Quentin Johnson, are mostly slot types. And I just don't think that's what they want.
If Zay Flowers goes there, I'm going to accidentally fall in love with him like I did with Sky Moore. Something about those little guys to the Chiefs, just like it I'm going to accidentally. I hear all the words you're saying, Jim, and I agree with every word you're saying, but I'm going to go and I'm going to watch tape. And I'm going to see the Chiefs next to it, and I'm going to freak out. I'm going to try to play that back in my head, play back Jim explaining to me why they don't need another wide receiver like that whenever rookie drafts come around.
Jim, you mentioned Quentin Johnson. I wouldn't be surprised to see him fall there because in every single mock draft, he seems to be falling further and further.
And Joey, I love that point because I think you were saying a little more. I don't want to cut you off. Finish that statement.
No, I was done. That's.
I think that's the problem with mocks. I think mocks, they're looking at these. The other 3 prospects are better prospects, the receivers. But the NFL at some point, some teams have dealt with their slot already. A lot of them have. When I went through the teams, I tried to break down who is at what position. The Chargers, Mike Williams, he's not an X. He's a stretch Z. He's your downfield guy. He runs some of the route tree. So Quentin Johnson, if they really want to amp up Justin Herbert's receiver core, Johnson would fit there. But you're right, Joey. The buzz has been that suppress. I don't know if NFL GMs are all going to see it that way. And that's what's going to be fun on draft day. But I completely love where you're going with that.
Yeah. Thank you.
I see our friend Chad down here saying Puka Nacua is a name that he's watching for the Chiefs and Colts. From what I understand, he's projected to be like a late round or like a priority free agent signing. But we've seen players like that come out and hit and be fantasy relevant right away. Jim, do you have any feelings on Puka Nacua?
You know what? I think he's outside of the players I studied because if I did, it was very, very minor. Not enough film study on him to know. So no, I pretty much can go most players in the first 5 rounds. I pretty much could give you something on them. He is outside of where I know.
I'm with you. He's the kind of guy where I'm going to wait and see if there's a landing spot that then generates excitement. Yes. I'm not excited about him on his own. Well, Joey, did I give you your money for that question yet or not?
No, I was trailing jail by $100.
I didn't think I had. I was just confirming. Okay. Well, Joey, you got that one right, which means you get to pick where Jim is going.
I'm going to send him to Aaron Rodgers, life coach.
No.
Which point value would you like?
You know what? I don't trust him, man. Go 200.
200.
Because I don't trust him.
What is Aaron Rodgers doing
good.
here?
Acupuncture. Great. I could do that one.
Final answer?
Yeah, acupuncture.
Yeah, he's getting some acupuncture done, Jim. That's going to be another 200 points going your way. Have you guys ever done acupuncture? Because that sounds like my number one worst fear.
I was coerced into doing it at the first job the startup I worked at out of college, and they hired someone to come in and do acupuncture. And so she coerced me into doing it. She's like, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. It doesn't hurt at all. My ear starts bleeding. She must have stabbed me or something because my ear starts bleeding everywhere. I was not relaxed. 0% relaxed from this therapy, but
that's what people always tell you. Like the people that I know that do it, they're like, it's so relaxing. I'm like, I don't think you understand. Outside of death, my number one biggest fear is a needle, like just a singular needle. And you're telling me like, oh, it's so relaxing to lay there and have your worst fear shoved into your back 100 times. And you just know it.
Bees shoved in my back sounds pretty terrible.
And bees, Jail, I'm scared of bees too, but maybe
because they have a butt needle.
It's a needle. It's just a flying needle is what it is. That's why I'm scared of bees.
Makes sense. That makes sense.
Also, Scamper said ear bleed therapy sounds so soothing.
Yeah, not advised.
Well, Jim, you got that one right. You're going to get to pick Jail's next category. But before we do that, our friend Scott in here. What's up, Scott? Hope you're doing well.
Good to see you, my friend.
He said, I might have missed this. I just got here, but where does Jim think Will Levis is going? Mr. Levis.
In his jeans.
Yeah, where do you think Mr. Levis is going to end up, Jim?
If the Colts have graded him favorably, it would seem to be the landing spot. Now, CJ Stroud, there's all that talk about his testing and that he could fall. As it stands right now, it just seems like it'd be the type of pick the Colts would make. A safer guy. Not that I even think he's safe myself, but that seems to be the word on him. That's where I say he goes. Do I think they should do it? Maybe not. I don't think Levis will be as good as many think. But that said, I think that's where he goes.
I'm with you. That's generally where I'm leaning. Joey or Jail, do you guys have a different team where you see Levis landing?
What's the XFL team in Orlando? No.
Orlando.
I think the Colts makes a lot of sense. I keep hearing it, so
yeah, it does make sense. I was just pulling up. I'm curious where they have him going most likely on the sportsbook right now, but I'll pull that up a little bit later. We can get that figured out. Jim, you get to pick Jail's next category. Where do you want to send JL?
And before I sent him there, the reason I took 200 on Aaron Rodgers, I was afraid to see the picture for the 500. I was literally terrified of it. So that said, let's go to James Jim Jimothy.
Jim Jimothy, one or two, JL.
Thank you.
You're helping Joey out, Jim. I'll go 200.
200 and James Jim Jimothy. Who is this?
That's James Conner.
That is James Conner, John Luke. That's going to add $200 to your round bank. And I did want to do a quick temperature check on James Conner for fantasy going into next year. How do you feel about this guy on a team that people are not excited about?
Me?
Yeah.
I'm those people. I'm not excited about James Conner. Mainly, going into last season, he had 15 touchdowns the season before, and that really boosted his fantasy value because the opportunity was still there. That hadn't changed really. I still see that this year, so I'm really looking at him in a pretty much the same way I looked at him last year, except maybe a little bit worse because he's older now. Which is he is a solid RB2 sometimes. So the opposite of a solid
RB2. Unsolid RB2. Jim, I see you nodding along there. Are you similarly seems like a pretty neutral James Conner take, not optimistic or pessimistic about him?
Yeah, James Conner was phenomenal down the stretch last year. He started out really slow. The line play's been horrible both years he's been there, but the fact he could get it done as a receiver as well for fantasy, that really helps out. Like I said, at the end of the season, if people were able to use him at that point, they were in great shape. But the first half of the season was rough. And then there's always going to be 2 to 4 missed games. But that's not a terrible number because a lot of running backs are missing some time. So I think we keep that in context. So, but like JL said, and I know you had like a little cynical twist at the end of that, but to me, he's just not a non-solid. He's a strong RB2. He's going to get volume, and volume is king in fantasy football.
Yeah, absolutely. Joey, do you agree here on James Conner, or do you hate him?
No, I don't. I love when you ask me, do you love or hate? Because that's a really fun question. If I have to choose one of those, I love James Conner. What I love most about him at this moment in time is his value. He's going outside the top 24 running backs right now. So if you're drafting and say best ball, you can get some real value out of James Conner. Yeah, he's going to miss games like James said. Like Jim said, that category messed me up. James, Timothy.
Like Jimothy said.
Like Jim said, he's going to miss some games, but in best ball, he's kind of a perfect fit.
Also, Craig in here letting us know that he still has his original Orlando Rage hat from the original XFL. Whip that out. That's some OG XFL merch. Pretty cool down there. And Jay chiming in, liquid RB2 is what he is.
Liquid RB2.
He's the liquid RB2. Well, John Luke, that did add that money to your score already, I believe, because now you are tied with Joey. We're going to move on to our next question. Before we do that, though, I saw Chad come in here and say BetMGM has Levis at plus 300 to go number one right now, which is wild. I'm looking at the FanDuel Sportsbook right now, and Bryce Young is at minus 1,400 for number one overall. Will Levis second at plus 800. But he's currently favored to be the number two overall pick on the FanDuel Sportsbook, plus 175 to be drafted second overall. It's wild. I don't buy it. I'm not buying it even a little bit. I saw a message in here earlier from our friend Chad. This is how I feel. Levis went from maybe the fifth best QB to a fit-dependent top 10 pick to maybe he goes at 2 if Stroud falls to rumors. He's going number one. Either he's going 1 or it's all smoke and he's going to plummet. And I'm with you, Chad.
Love that.
I bet he plummets.
Yeah.
There's so much smoke going on right now that I bet this is a lot of Levis smoke.
We said it a couple of weeks ago. You cannot trust anything said at this moment. You cannot take it at face value leading up to the draft. It's just not how the game is played.
I think my favorite quote, and it kind of like made me take a step back during this draft process, was whenever, I forget who said it. I want to give him credit. It was someone on TV who says words about football. So if you can narrow that
quite
down.
A few.
But they said, I believe the Panthers want CJ Stroud right now, just like the 49ers wanted Mac Jones last year. And that was the quote. And it was like, you know what? Because they did want Mac Jones. Like there were reports afterwards that at that time they did evaluate Mac Jones, but just take a step back. So much changes. And that quote made me realize like, okay, like this could be true right now, but we can just chill until maybe 3 days before. We don't have to follow every rumor. Well, Dale, you got that one right. Bringing you tied with Joey, and you get to pick Joey's next category. Where are you sending them?
All right, let's send Joey to Jimothy.
Jimothy. Joey for 100.
Knew you were going to do it. I will take it for $100 and answer it with my eyes closed. No, I can't do it.
Who is this?
That's Jimmy Garoppolo.
That is Jimmy Garoppolo. Joey going to add 100 to your score.
Mom's favorite player.
If you go look in my Canva, there is a collage of pictures of him that I started putting together. I thought it would be funny, but it was too creepy, so I didn't put it on here.
That's the word I thought, creepy.
It was too creepy. Like I finished making a full page collage of Jimmy Garoppolo's face, and I was like, yikes, I should not let anyone see that I made this. Scamper's in here getting that with Jimmy handsome face. Joey, how do you think Jimmy G's going to do in his new home? Starting quarterback.
I don't mind the landing spot in Las Vegas. I think it could be good for him, and he's definitely got a good first target to throw to. And I think we could see the reemergence of Hunter Renfrow. Darren Waller's gone, so that kind of stinks. But I'm optimistic for him as a QB2, especially in Superflex.
Jim, do you think he's going to be able to support the weapons there that we've gotten used to trusting, like a Devontae Adams?
You know, I imagine he'd never say it. I imagine George Kittle is really glad that Garoppolo's gone. I remember a couple of years or maybe a few years ago, him throwing medicine balls in the middle of the field, like throwing these like way up off target passes. Kittle got his knee taken out on one of them, and I know he missed like significant time because of that. Jimmy's short area accuracy, you talk about being an intermediate thrower, his accuracy is often way off. And that's something Devontae Adams is not going to fall in love with. He's going to lead him into the wrong traffic a lot. And that's going to be a lot of extra painful hits. And receivers don't like when their quarterbacks do that. Now, that all said, Joey's right, quarterback 2 for sure. But there you have Adams, and it'll work regardless. And Adams is a tough dude. So even if he gets a few medicine balls, hopefully he's the guy that holds up there. Losing Waller is going to hurt for sure.
Yeah.
And then now you're going Jacoby Myers and Hunter Renfrow, which is really 2 slot guys. And I'm worried about that. I don't like that configuration. It's just a typical weird Raiders team. But defensively, they should be bad, so they're going to have to score points. And so I do think, like Joey said, our QB2, definitely on board with that.
And what I'm hearing is maybe this is all signs ahead, all ships blazing, all the phrases that I'm going to say wrong right here for Josh Jacobs again next season. what we saw last year. We might see some more from Josh Jacobs if they're if this is the way this offense is going. If they lost Darren Waller, if they're going with 2 slot receivers.
I love how how you put that, because I feel like that is the perfect way to describe this Raiders team. It's weird, but it might just work. Kind of
for fantasy. At times, maybe not for the NFL, but for fantasy.
Even in the NFL, I think it might work at times. Having a Jacoby Myers, Hunter Renfrow, like, yeah, they're 2 slot guys, but like they play differently, and they could be just real weird. That might just lead to real weird type of plays that get broken coverage and that sort of thing. Mix that in with Devontae Adams and Josh Jacobs, these safety valves that are can take it to the house on any play. We could just get a really weird Raiders season this year.
Speaking of the Raiders, Scott had a question for us. Joey, I'll throw this one to you. He said, do you guys think the Raiders take a QB at 7?
I think if Anthony Richardson's there at 7, they should really explore that option. I keep seeing him going to Seattle. And in my mind, I still think he's the 3rd best quarterback in this draft. There's definitely some risk with him, but his athleticism can't be denied. So I think that if he's there at 7, the Raiders really should think about that.
Jim, you think the Raiders are going to go QB at 7, even though they just grabbed Jimmy G over there?
They clearly have to know, and I think you guys are intimating this. Jimmy G is obviously not a long-term answer, and they know that. He's a guy to put in there for now. They're in this great new stadium, and they've got this exciting place they play, and they've got to have a quarterback. But if they have a quarterback valued at the spot that they think could be their quarterback in the future, I think what are they going to do? They know internally they're not close to battling for a Super Bowl. They're not even battling for their division title with the Chargers and especially the Chiefs in there. So realistically, that high of a pick, and there's a world where they trade up if they really like somebody long term and they think they can get that guy. I think they have to look quarterback, because it's not like, oh, we'll get an offensive tackle and we're good, or an edge rusher and we're good. No, they're far off. And in this quarterback-driven league, it starts under center.
Jim, I have a question for you to interrupt Simon. If Young and Stroud go 1-2, do you see that being the moment where somebody goes up and grabs that Arizona pick?
Desperation will definitely drive the market, Joey. So I love that call. Yes, once that second quarterback's off the board, you'll get the itchy fingers on the phone, and they'll be calling, the GMs will be calling to get up there, because once that supply wears out, I see there could be up to 8 teams that could potentially want a quarterback here. And with that type of number and that few of quarterbacks that would be in this equation, Joey, you're absolutely on that. Yes, that would happen. The number 3 pick would become a free-for-all.
Tampa Bay, do you hear that? Okay, just want to make sure.
We got Ryan in here letting us know in Dynasty Superflex, he just traded a late rookie 6th rounder for Zach Wilson. That's a fantastic move. Rookie 6th rounder, get a former 2nd overall pick.
Fantastic trade.
Great work in there. Also, we got Mel in here saying, hey, Rick.
Hey, Mel.
Who's Rick?
What up, Rick?
What up, Rick? Welcome in. Well, Joey, you got that one right.
I should probably come clean.
I'm
Rick actually Ross? Rick Flair. No, I'm Rick Flair.
That makes sense.
I was going to say, maybe they meant to say, hey, Dick. And then they could have been talking to multiple people up on the screen. Joey, you got that one right, which means you get to pick Jim's next category. Where do you want to send him?
Jim. Welcome to our show. Odd one out. You pick your value.
Odd one out. You know what? No guts, no glory. Joey's got 1,000. I got 600. We're getting a little deep in this game. Let's go 500.
Going for the lead, 500. Odd one out. First overall draft pick. So only one of these players was not a first overall draft pick. Troy Aikman, Bo Jackson, Keyshawn Johnson, Jim Kelly.
It's got to be Bo Jackson.
Final answer?
Yeah, it's got to be Bo Jackson.
I'm sorry, it was Jim Kelly.
That was my
Jackson was
choice.
Selected first overall, but did not play for the Buccaneers. He refused to play and instead played for the Kansas City Royals after being selected first overall. So Bo Jackson was a first overall pick, but a little bit tricky for sure there.
A lot of the players on last year's Buccaneers team refused to play as well.
Did they play for the Royals too?
Not likely.
Also, we got Scott in here getting this one right or guessing the same answer as you with Bo Jackson. Jimmy was in line with you. Ladarius and Craig, both knowing Jim Kelly. Nice job on that one, guys. John Luke, it is your turn. You got free reign of this board. Where do you want to go, my friend?
Oh boy, let's go 500 on Aaron Rodgers. Life coach.
I'm closing my eyes. Can't look at the picture.
What is Aaron Rodgers' life coach doing here?
What is that? What the heck is that? That looks like pea cups. He's drinking pee?
Is that your final answer, JL?
Yeah. Drinking pee.
Urine therapy, aka drinking your own pee, is what Aaron Rodgers is trying out next. You can learn all about it from this book by John W. Arthur, the author of Urine Therapy.
Oh man, we thought Moises Alou was bad for putting his hands in it to toughen him up to hold the bat. Wow, he was holding the other bat. Oh man,
Aaron Rodgers and Bear Grylls just taking it to the house.
Bear Grylls, oh my god.
Wow.
He's learning.
I told you I was afraid to see that picture. Didn't I call it?
You were 100% right.
Wow. It's not worth the 500, Joey.
I know.
How'd you know Aaron Rodgers was going to be there drinking his own piss?
JL, man, you were on
Smelled it. He ate asparagus.
Well, John Luke, you got that one correct. Tim called it therapy.
There it is.
And Scampers knew the actual name with urine therapy. Nice job.
I get to see the psychologist being like, I'm going to prescribe you urine therapy. Okay, yeah, I'll go into therapy. No, urine therapy. Yeah, I'll be in therapy. Like the whole who's on first thing. That's what I see. Like, it's going on in my head right now.
I see Chad here saying, I know this will shock everyone, but the Vikings just picked up the 5th-year option on the greatest wide receiver of all time. I'm guessing on Justin Jefferson. That checks out. That checks out.
I didn't know that Jerry Rice was on a 5th-year option. What are we talking about here?
That was a long 4th year.
Yeah, it was.
All right. Well, John Luke, where are you sending Joey for this next question?
Let's send Joey to odd one out.
300.
300 and odd one out. First wide receiver drafted. So this is the first wide receiver drafted in their draft year. Corey Coleman, DJ Moore, and N'Keal Harry. Reminder, I need the one player who was not the first wide receiver drafted.
I know N'Keal Harry was drafted by the Patriots. I don't feel like he might have been the first. It was like 16th overall. I'll go Corey Coleman.
Final answer?
N'Keal Harry might have been. Yeah.
Your initial inclination was correct. N'Keal Harry was the second wide receiver drafted after Marquise Brown that year. DJ Moore and Corey Coleman were both the first wide receiver drafted during their respective draft year.
Good for them. I'm glad that it's worked out for both their careers.
Scott or Craig with Harry. Nice job, Scott. Also with Harry. And J-Wall saying Joey oozes of sex appeal, but not of correct.
That's not on the board, but that's absolutely true.
All right. Well, Jim, you got free reign of this board. You get to go wherever you want now because Joey got that one wrong. Where do you want to go?
Needy teams for 500. I'm just going to take my chances here.
Needy teams for 500. The Baltimore Ravens, according to NFL.com, fill in the missing top 3 team need for the Ravens. Number 1 is wide receiver. Number 2 is cornerback. Is number 3 quarterback, defensive back, or tight end?
It's got to be quarterback.
Final answer?
Yeah, it's quarterback.
It is quarterback. I thought that one would be tricky with maybe some of the positivity coming out around
they
the
got 3 safeties. They got like 3 legit safeties. They're going to be playing big nickel this year. So they're the one team that they're the poster child. And obviously they got Andrews and Likely. So definitely quarterback.
Do you agree? Do you think they need to address that quarterback position? They got Huntley signed back again, and we're waiting on this Lamar Jackson situation.
So look, Huntley, what we saw with Tyler Huntley was 2 years ago, he had a stretch at the end of the season. He played really well. But if you remember those last 2 games, film had been out on him and he was already starting to get figured out. Last year, atrocious. He can't read beyond one read. And he also has to throw everything short because he's in a hurry to get the ball out because he can't read the defense. And so once defenses knew that last year, so he is not going to be a guy that could be a starter. Fine as a backup, whatever, but they know. And if Lamar is eventually going to walk, then they got to address this at some point, right?
Yeah. The chat got tricked by this one. They all thought DB here. You were the only person to get this one right, Jim. Nice job, my friend.
Thanks.
Nice job.
Humphrey,
Jim,
Kyle Hamilton.
That bumps you almost into the lead ahead of Joey there. A big comeback here at the end, and you get to pick John Luke's next category. Where do you want to send him?
Where we going?
Luke knows exactly where I'm sending him, so you can just tell him, John Luke, where am I sending him? No. One out. Nice try, though. Love you, man.
Here's your question, JL. undrafted. So one of these I did this wrong. I meant to say drafted here. Just drafted in general, not undrafted. Only one of these players was undrafted.
Only one of these players was undrafted. That was Adam Thielen.
I did it wrong. It was supposed to just say drafted, but John Luke, you got that one correct. That is going to add another 100 to your score, and you get to pick Joey's next category.
Oh, let's send Joey to needy teams.
Okay, Joey, what value would you like?
400. Side note, that Mike Evans, the night he was drafted, was the happiest night I've had as a Buccaneers fan, other than Super Bowl winning nights.
I was going to say.
Because they were about to take Johnny Manziel, and they took Mike Evans instead, and I was ecstatic. Okay, let's go.
Here's your question in needy teams. What do the Dolphins need? They've got offensive line as their top overall need, running back second. What is third according to NFL.com? Edge, offensive line, or tight end?
Trying to think if they re-signed Gesicki. I think he went somewhere else. But are you trying to trick me to say offensive line twice? I'm not going to buy it. I'm going to say tight end.
Nice.
It is tight end. And I was trying to trick you, Joey. You've got an additional $400 for identifying they need a tight end there. And the chat all over this one. Oh, Adam Thielen from the previous one, but tight end from Andrea, Ladarius, Craig, and Scampers. Joey, you get to pick Jim's next category. We probably got time to run through at least one more. Where are you sending him?
I'm going to send Jim to Aaron Rodgers, life coach.
Yeah, traumatized me. I got to see another picture of him. Thanks, man. Much appreciated.
Right,
and by the way, is NFL.com saying that like Durham Smite's not the answer at tight end?
Yeah, what the heck?
400 for Aaron Rodgers, life coach.
Rude. What is Aaron Rodgers, life coach, doing here?
Goat yoga.
Final answer?
Yeah, goat yoga.
This is goat yoga. It's gonna help
My daughter
you get more
did
in
it for
touch
Girl
with nature.
Scouts. Yeah,
Did
Girl
she really?
Scouts did it. Yeah, the whole troop went.
I've never done it. Well, Jim, for identifying goat yoga, being our goat yoga expert, that is going to give you $400 and tie you for first place.
No,
and you get to pick JL's next category.
Step on my back like that.
Oh man, JL could go either of these two. Aaron Rodgers, life coach.
100.
Here we go. What is Aaron Rodgers, life coach, doing here?
Hypnosis.
That is hypnosis.
Reading time, maybe. I don't know.
He's getting hypnotized. John Luke, that's going to give you another $100. So between hypnosis, acupressure, sensory deprivation, Chinks, urine therapy, and whatever else I forgot, he should be ready to go on this Jets team this year. Where are you sending Joey, JL?
I got to play the game. Send him to needy teams. I'm sad
Needy
about grab
teams.
bag, though.
Well, the Carolina Panthers, Joey, do they need a quarterback, offensive line, or tight end as that number one overall need?
They need a quarterback.
They do need a quarterback, Joey. That's going to add another $100.
Close game.
It is a close game. We've got some Final Jeopardy, and you know what? Instead of showing these questions, I'm going to save these questions and use them next time.
Nice.
I was going to say we could maybe speed through, but
we're going to save some of these questions. We've got a super close game here, 1,500 to 1,600 to 1,500. Your category for your final question is going to be NFL draft, as you may have guessed it. Oh, I didn't take it down first before I pulled it up. But NFL draft is your question. You might have gotten a sneak peek at it right there as I put it up on the screen, but NFL draft is going to be your final question.
Where's that new app?
There use our phones for this, right?
Oh, I know what
you can write down your wager on a piece of paper, on a phone, whatever works for you.
Oh, I got paper, yeah.
A reminder of the scores. John Luke has 1,600. Jim and Joey each with 1,500.
Did Joey get his 100 for the last question? Yeah.
Yep.
Yes, he did.
Okay.
And that brought him up to 15.
Look at that. Trying to get you some money there, Joey.
Hey, I appreciate it so much.
So whenever you guys
much money do I have?
wagers,
What's the question? Is there something I got to write?
You got to write down just your wager.
Oh, the wager. Okay, I got you.
Anywhere between 0 and the total amount that you've earned. And as a reminder, that's 1,500 for Jim and Joey, 1,600 for JL.
All right, I got mine. Oh, that's
so Chad in here said, it's all fun until the turd flies into your head at goat yoga. Yeah, I hope they're like fasting those goats for 8 hours before they let them stand on people. It's not even the turd I'm worried about. It's the urine therapy at goat yoga that I'm worried about. Know what I mean? Like a turd you could probably just brush off, but if a goat pees on me, get the hose. All right, you guys got your wagers?
Yes.
Yep.
Go ahead. Joey,
Wager
actually,
mine.
yours has already been spoken for. Tim said he wagers all of your money.
That's what I did. I wrote all, and there's
Perfect.
a picture of me and
I'm doing it all too.
Jim also went all, and JL went 1401. Basically meaning if JL is correct, he wins. Otherwise, whoever's right wins. We will see what happens here.
I don't know anything about drafts.
JL with those math skills, man, it's hemming us in. We've got nothing.
It took me so long to figure that out.
Here's your final question. 3 teams are currently tied for the most draft picks in the upcoming 2023 NFL draft with 12 each. The Texans, the Packers, and which other team? A, the New Orleans Saints, B, the Las Vegas Raiders, or C, the Washington Commanders? 3 teams are currently tied for the most draft picks in the upcoming 2023 NFL draft with 12 each. They're going to be selecting 12 times in the draft. Like, you start with a standard of 7 because there's 7 rounds. Compensatory picks add some. You trade, you get some more picks. So some teams have more than 7, some teams have less. 3 teams have 12 picks. The Texans, the Packers, and which third team?
And it's not. Oh.
It is one of those 3.
Oh, duh. It's so confusing that they line up with the logos, because I was sitting there going, so it's not the Raiders? But I see now, because they don't map to the name.
That's just the question mark.
Yeah.
That's just now. There are 3 teams. I could have put them in any order up there.
Okay.
Let me know when you guys have your answers.
Yeah.
Chat's got their answers in. John Luke, you got your answer?
No. Okay. I got this.
You got this? Let's go ahead and reveal your answers. What do we got?
B.
Oh,
we got Raiders from Jim, Raiders from Joey, and what did you say, JL? The New Orleans Saints as the answer from JL. The chat, we had a lot of Raiders in the chat from Craig, Ladarius, Grimm, Scampers, and Andrea. Well, the correct answer to this question was the Las Vegas Raiders, meaning Jim and Joey, you guys are going to tie for first place in today's game, meaning JL is the only loser of today's game.
Let's go.
Jim, congratulations.
That was, you guys are the best. Loved you guys.
Love you, Jim.
Jim, I really appreciate you taking the time to come on and letting Joey finish atop the podium with you. That was really kind and charitable of you.
Nice.
I'm really good at riding coattails.
It's a special
you're a trendsetter, man.
Well, guys,
if
you're not already following our friend Jim and this stream wasn't enough to convince you, one glance at his Twitter profile should do it. Find him at Jim Coventry NFL on Twitter and hit that follow button. You are not going to regret doing that. We are done for here today with Jim and Joey coming out on top in today's game of Fantasy Football Jeopardy. But we'll be back tomorrow and the next day. And the next day and every day, Monday through Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern time for the Fantasy Football Game Show. So come and hang out with us tomorrow. Until then, we are out of here. Thank you, everybody in the chat. Another big thanks to Jim. Thanks, Joey and JL. And thanks, Obama. Exactly. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Adios, everyone.